Welcome back to Musitations, Episode 3, Being Music. For me, when we live as if each moment is a note in the song of today, we live well. We realize that just like a song, the goal of the song is not to get to the end of the song, but live fully in each moment. That both our lives become more harmonious and musical. We slow down to the rhythm of the soul, which is in its essence music. We live properly, we live well, and we are actually going through kind of this global soul initiation right now of slowing down. The soul is shy, and the soul needs to take its time. When you imagine the cells of us coming together within the womb, embryologists don't even realize that they feel there's some kind of consciousness, some kind of organizing principle that allows the cells to go together, that unifying energy at the deepest core of who we are is the soul. The Latin word is anima, which means to animate. So that animating, unifying principle, which is our deepest essence, which is also deeply mysterious, is like music. So being music means both that we are music and we live properly and well when we live our lives as if each moment is a note in the song of today. But it also means the music of being, not the music of doing, but the music of being, the music that slows you down, that brings you into the moment, that reduces your heart rate and blood pressure. This is what my music has always been about since I was a 7-year-old child healing from abdominal surgery, and I'd hit one note on the piano, close my eyes, and take this deep breath. So I want to share a little bit about deep breathing today, what's often called resonant or coherent breathing, diaphragmatic belly breathing, full body breathing is the way I teach it in my classes, where you imagine breathing in from the tips of your toes up to the top of your head and back down from the top of your head all the way down to the tips of your toes. This not only reduces fear and depression and anxiety, heart rate, blood pressure, increases blood flow, but it increases the immune system. And right now, dealing with an illness that attacks the lungs, being able to breathe deeply and well will keep you well and more resilient. It's also called Foursquare Breathing because the idea is to breathe about 4 times a minute. And some people have difficulty doing this, but when we breathe with the flute, it helps. So when I teach this, it's taking a deep breath in, and when you breathe out, pursing your lips like you're playing a flute. And so I'd love you to try this with me. I call it my 3 breaths to de-stress. And imagine you're playing the flute with me. So take a nice deep breath and breathe out as long as you can. Breathing in again, breathing out the lips, pursing the lips. Play your imaginary flute. One more time. Nice deep breath in. Just notice how differently you feel in your body. Just a little more grounded, a little more centered. If you can begin to practice breathing that way throughout the day, you're going to find yourself much more relaxed, much less fearful. It's really great to do just before bedtime, but I add this little bit to it. I do this in my meditation classes, when I guide lying down meditations. While you're lying in bed, last thing you do before closing your eyes, or when you're closing your eyes, is you take that nice deep breath in, but on the out breath, you let it out with a which is kind of like fogging a mirror or saying hawk without the K. So you just do that nice 3 times before going to bed. Also throughout the day, you can intersperse your day with what I call these micro-meditations, which is a really beautiful way to stay in touch with that soul space, that heart space within. As difficult as this time is, it's a chance to go and get to know ourselves and do some inner work. I actually had a new book of poetry that's coming out this month, but unfortunately I'm not able to do the events I was going to do. So I'm going to share a little bit of it with you now. It's called When All is Lost, Finding Heart in the Dark. When all is lost, finding heart in the dark. It's strangely appropriate for this time, don't you think? And when I say musitations, I mean all the muses. The muse of dance, the muse of poetry, the muse of movement, the muse of theater, the muse of art, the muse of music, of course, my favorite. But all of them, all of these creative outlets help us stay healthy. What I call in my Peace Within program and Peace Within online retreat and meditation teacher training is the emotional circulatory system. We have to be in touch with emotions that are coming through us, but find creative ways to express them. And that keeps us healthy. The danger is repressing a feeling or acting it out. So when we find a creative way to express it, through a poem, through journaling, through movement, through music, through art, through gardening, through cooking, it keeps that emotional circulatory system healthy, and it keeps us healthy. It keeps us out of our head and in our body and in our heart. So these poems were written during a fairly challenging decade when we went through Hurricane Ivan and were displaced from our home, and over that decade, ending with a 3-year battle with cancer that my mother went through, and my accompanying her through that journey, and how it changed me, and how it allowed me to learn that even in the darkest night, the light of the soul can guide us. It always reminds me of the old story of the king with a kingdom that was going through the plague at the time, kind of like what we're going through now. And he asked the sage at that time, because the sun was not shining, there was an eclipse, and they feared that the sun would never come back out. And he asked the sage, what if the sun doesn't come back? How will we see and how will we be guided? And he said, by the light of the moon. And he said, but what if the moon disappears? Then how will we see? And he said, by the light of the stars. And he said, but what if the stars go dark? And he said, we will build fires and go by the light of the fire. And he said, yes, but what if we run out of wood and we can't see by firelight? And he said, we will then see by the light of the soul. It's an inner light, and one of the reasons that I have on the cover a moth with bioluminescence, a light that shines from within the moth itself. And this is what we find when we're willing to do inner work, when we're willing to dive deep into the heart soul inside of ourselves. The old saying is the heart is a gateway or a doorway to the soul. And it's that part of us that is timeless and deathless and ageless and has an innate resilient wisdom. And that's why creativity brings us to the doorway of the wisdom of the soul. And that's something that no one else can tell you or give you, that you only receive by diving deep in your own truth, your own first-person awareness of who you are, where you come from, what you're here to do, and where it is you're going. And it's during times like this quarantine, you're actually getting a chance. I used to spend a lot of time, energy, and money helping guide people on quests, wilderness fasts, where they go out into the wild. And be alone. And here is an opportunity to do that and go within. And in that way, we can turn this into a global soul initiation and really take stock of who we are as a species, as a people, as individuals, and what we can do to be kinder, gentler, more awake within our own lives, the lives of our families and communities, and within our world. So I'd like to end with the title poem to this book of poems, When All Is Lost, and share it with you. When all is lost. When it feels like all is lost, look inside and listen. Listen to the silence until you remember who you are. Beneath and beyond all the roles you've been playing, beneath and beyond all the roles you've been playing. Finally remembering where it is you truly come from and who you truly are within the innermost sanctuary of your heart. Then breathe deeply and lay down on the bare earth and let your soul return home. Lay down on the bare earth and return home to your soul in this moment. Breathing, being, listening, unfolding, unwinding, and growing into the self you came here to be, blooming in this moment. No matter where you find yourself, or with whom, knowing the deepest roots rest in the unseen ground of your heart that transcends all places and all times, vast, true, and free. Lay down on the bare earth and let your soul return home. When is the last time you've laid on the bare earth, on the ground, on the grass, and looked up at the stars or looked up at the sky? This is a perfect time to do that. Instead of being bored or watching Netflix, go out, lay down on the earth. My native teacher would say, Grandmother Earth will take any pain, fear, sadness that you're feeling if you give it to her. So when you lay down, imagine all of the fear or the pain or the worry, whatever it might be, give it to the earth and feel it just soaking out of your body down into the earth, letting go of all that physical, emotional, and mental tension, and just let it go, let it be. And know that the light of your soul will shine and you will find heart in the dark. Thank you for being here. Be kind to yourself and others during this time. Gentle, compassionate. Moving from judgment to curiosity. Stay curious. Stay present. Find out how to play each moment as a note in the song of today. Enjoying the song of today and not rushing to get to the end. God bless you, be well, and we'll see you on the next Musitations. Namaste.